Hi everyone, and we're back for day 14 of 30 days before Halloween on Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This one here is another one that I'm kind of making my own category. I'm titling this Modern Horror. What I mean by that is movies that haven't been around before. They're not really based off of. I should say most of these are not based off of any original movie. They're their own concept, and they use concept that you couldn't do before. Like it uses technology like cell phones that didn't exist, for the most part, like widely exist before the 2000s. The idea of like a video board game kind of thing, so that's just kind of the premise of this one. So the first one, now this is a remake, but this is the modern one, is Carrie with Chloe Grace Moretz. And it's also got Julianne Moore. Everybody knows the classic story of Carrie, a tortured girl. Finds out she has special powers, and uses them to her advantage to, go after all her classmates. The original Carrie was great. This one has its own thing. I find this one is a little bit more maybe sadistic in the way that it's presented. It's a little more horror, aimed towards the horror as opposed to a revenge story of a tortured girl. But still really well done. Highly recommend it. Next up on the list is Jennifer's Body, starring Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. This one is an interesting concept. Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried's characters are best friends. Megan Fox is the typical cheerleader, and Amanda Seyfried is kind of the quiet, shy, lonely girl. So you wouldn't think they're friends, but they are. They're best friends. Well, Megan Fox, I won't give too much away the story, but basically she becomes a succubus, which is a creature that, basically has to steal the souls of other people. In this case, mostly young boys. She uses Megan Fox's character's body to her advantage to take advantage of these guys and steal their souls and kill them, of course. Terrifying concept, interesting movie. Highly recommend it if you've never seen it. Next up is one that many people may not have heard of. It's called Beyond the Gates. Now this one here, the line at the front pretty much describes what it is. A bloody grown-up version of Jumanji. So basically, I'll just read the case. Two estranged brothers reunite at their missing father's video store in order to organize his affairs. As they dig through the deserted store and the myriad 80s artifacts, they discover a unique VCR board game called Beyond the Gates that may prove a connection to their father's disappearance. Dare they play the mysterious board game and traverse to an interdimensional hub in a nightmare world where their father's soul is trapped. Creepy homage to the 80s video nasty era, cunningly blending the likes of Jumanji and Ouija with lashings of Hellraiser and Stranger Things. Beyond the Gates is a visceral journey into the dark shadows of the imagination, featuring Scream Queen, haven't heard of her before, and so on and so forth. It's still a really interesting concept. I highly recommend it if you've never seen it before. I really like Beyond the Gates. And the last one that I have for this category is One Missed Call. Now, this is probably my personal favorite of these movies that I'm suggesting in the modern horror category. This is the one I was referring to when I was talking about the cell phone. So the premise of this movie, it's almost like a Final Destination movie, except for basically people, mostly these young people in this movie, they receive a phone call on their cell phone. And it ends up leaving them a voicemail. Like, they can't pick up, there's nobody there, it just goes like right to their voicemail. And basically it's a recording of their own voices at the time of their death. So they have to try and use that to figure out how they're going to die based on what they hear. Maybe they hear a train in the background, or they hear a car horn, something like that. They use the sounds to try and figure out how they're going to die to try and avoid it. And it all leads to a very surprise ending and what's driving all these calls and everything. It's really interesting concept. There's some well-known actors in this, and then Megan Fox is in this, or not Megan Fox, Megan Good. I'm sorry. Ray Wise is in it. And yeah, that's pretty much just some of the well-known actors. But yeah, definitely an interesting concept for a modern horror movie. If you've never seen it, check it out. As for the ratings on these particular movies, Carrie, I would say, is like a strong 14A. Jennifer's Body is definitely rated R. Beyond the Gates, I think, is rated R. and one missed call is probably a strong 14A. But those are all great categories, and I highly recommend any of them if you haven't seen them before. Hope you enjoyed that one, folks. We'll catch you very shortly for day 15. Take care.